Isidora Duncan, A Tragic Departure. Imagine it is September 14th, 1927. The spirited Isidora Duncan, at the age of 50, decided to take her new, flashy convertible for a spin around town. Dressed in her signature flamboyant style with a long, flowing silk scarf wrapped around her neck, she bid farewell to her friends as she settled into her car. As she drove away, the trailing end of her scarf fluttered outside the vehicle like a banner of freedom. Unfortunately, fate took a tragic turn when the scarf became caught in the car's rear wheel. As the car sped forward, the fabric tightened around her neck, transforming from a symbol of liberation into a deadly noose. The force of the pull snapped her head back violently, breaking her neck instantly, much like a twig snapping in a dry, sunny desert. The most chilling aspect of this heartbreaking incident is that moments before she drove off, Isidora had cheerfully declared, "Goodbye, my friends. I am off to glory." Jose Molena, A Tragic Workplace Incident. On a sunny morning in 2012, 62-year-old Jose Molena woke up feeling recharged and ready to head to work. He arrived at the Bumblebee factory, likely thinking it would be just another ordinary day at the office. Little did he know that he was about to become infamous as the most tragic sardine in a can. The factory used a 35-foot-long pressure cooker to sterilize tons of tuna, about the length of a school bus. As Jose began his daily routine of maintenance, he crawled inside the oven to clean it. Unbeknownst to him, a coworker, completely oblivious to the fact that Jose was inside, loaded the cooker with 6 tons of tuna and started the cooking process. The temperature was set to a staggering 270 degrees Fahrenheit, with Jose and the tuna trapped inside for the entire 2-hour cooking cycle. Imagine being confined in a hot oven at such a temperature for 120 minutes. Your blood and bodily fluids literally reaching boiling point while your flesh sizzles and melts away. The entire ordeal was a nightmarish scenario for Jose. This incident takes on a chilling new meaning for the phrase, "feeling the heat at work." You might think that someone would notice he was missing. However, his coworkers assumed he had stepped out for a quick lunch break, unaware that Jose was tragically becoming lunch himself. It wasn't until after the cooking cycle ended and they went to retrieve the tuna that they discovered the heartbreaking mistake. All that remained of Jose was his melted flesh, a haunting reminder of the day's horror. Tito Morales, A Tragic Elevator Incident. Have you ever watched a movie where someone gets stuck in an elevator, and while panic ensues, a quick-thinking individual crawls out of the access hatch to safety? This scenario, often depicted in films, took a tragic and unexpected turn for 20-year-old Tito Morales. In 2014, Tito was on his way to a store after visiting his girlfriend in her apartment building when he boarded the elevator. Suddenly, it came to a halt and the doors failed to open. Instead of pulling out his phone to call for help or pressing the emergency button, Tito opted for a daring move. He unleashed his inner Spider-Man. He climbed through the access hatch at the top of the elevator, attempting to open the exterior doors on the nearest floor, as if he were in a real-life escape room. Unfortunately, just as Tito was enacting his superhero fantasy, the elevator decided it wasn't finished doing its job and began to move again. You might think that our hero would quickly climb back inside and hit the emergency button, but instead, Tito took his adventure to the next level. Literally. He attempted to jump onto the adjacent elevator that was on its way up. In a tragic twist, Tito miscalculated his jump and lost his footing. Rather than executing a smooth superhero landing, he found himself wedged between the elevator and the shaft wall, turning him into a human sandwich. For hours, he was unable to breathe, trapped and helpless. Sadly, when rescuers finally arrived, it was too late. Tito's lifeless body was all that remained. Francis Daniel Broom, A Tragic Night Out. Francis Daniel Broom and his best friend, John Hutcherson, had a cherished tradition. Every year, they would visit their local bar, drinking as if the end of Prohibition was upon them and enjoying each other's company. In 2004, they eagerly prepared for their annual night of revelry, but this time, things took a dangerous turn. After consuming enough alcohol to make a fish jealous, the duo chose to ignore the sensible option of calling an Uber or Lyft. Instead, they thought it would be a brilliant idea to hit the road completely wasted, proving that poor decisions often lay the groundwork for epic failures. Hutcherson took the wheel while Broom played the part of the carefree passenger, merrily sticking his head and arms out of the window, living what he likely imagined was his best drunk Disney princess life. Unfortunately, this tale does not have a happy ending. Hutcherson, clearly unfit to drive, lost control of the car. It swerved off the road and collided with one of the cables supporting a nearby telephone pole. The wire snapped up from the ground and struck Broom's head, which was still hanging out of the window, decapitating him instantly. It was a scene straight out of a horror movie, reminiscent of a gruesome moment from Final Destination. Incredibly, Hutcherson, too intoxicated to realize that his best friend was now missing a crucial body part, continued driving for another 12 miles. He parked the car, stumbled into his house, and went straight to bed, blissfully unaware of the horrific reality he had just lived. One must wonder how intoxicated someone must be to not notice their friend's headless body hanging out of a car window, or to forget such a crucial presence altogether. The next morning, shocked neighbors spotted the headless corpse in the car and immediately called the police. Hutcherson was arrested and charged with driving under the influence, forever altered by the tragic events of that fateful night. Daniel Hill. A tragic workplace accident. Daniel Hill was a 54-year-old technician working at a tube and pipe manufacturing company. It had been less than a year since he started his job when he left not only the company, but the world in the most horrific manner imaginable. On that fateful day, Daniel was performing his usual technician duties, moving around to fix and tighten loose bolts and screws. Just another day at the office, or so he thought. However, fate had other plans. While making his rounds, he tripped and fell into a large tank filled with a 160-degree Fahrenheit sulfuric acid solution. This was no ordinary hot tub. It was the company's dangerous method for strengthening pipes. Sulfuric acid is known as the king of chemicals, and for good reason. It is so potent that it can dissolve other acids. Just a single drop of this substance on your skin can cause intense burns, rapidly breaking down muscles and bones as if something voraciously consumed your flesh. Imagine the agony Daniel experienced as he was submerged in this scorching acid. He remained in the tank for several agonizing minutes before his coworkers, risking severe burns themselves, managed to drag him out. Despite their brave efforts, Daniel sustained extreme burns over much of his body and was rushed to the nearest hospital for treatment. Tragically, after battling for his life for 11 hours, he succumbed to his injuries. Samon Condura. A tragic family reunion. Imagine traveling home for your mother's funeral, a solemn occasion filled with grief and tradition. For 40-year-old Samon Condura, this experience took a tragic turn on June 15, 2018, during the funeral ceremonies in Sui, Indonesia. In this region, it is customary for family members of the deceased to carry the coffin containing the body to a beautifully decorated funeral tower approximately 10 meters high, the equivalent of a 3-story building. To reach the tower, mourners had to climb a bamboo ladder, an unstable structure that was far from safe. After all, nothing says safe passage to the afterlife like navigating a DIY jungle gym while carrying a coffin. As the family attempted this perilous climb, the bamboo ladder proved unable to support the combined weight of the mourners and the coffin. It collapsed, creating a catastrophic scene where gravity took over. In an instant, the coffin slipped from their grasp, somersaulting through the air. Tragically, the coffin struck Samon on the head as he stood below, leading him to fall to the ground with a fatal injury. Despite being rushed to the hospital, he was declared dead upon arrival. In a haunting twist of fate, the man who returned home healthy and strong to lay his mother to rest ended up being buried beside her within 48 hours. What was meant to be a family reunion turned into a nightmare, a heartbreaking reminder of the fragility of life and the unexpected turns tragedy can take. Jesus Contreras Benitez. A tragic accident in tree trimming. If you work as a tree trimmer, you're well aware of the dangers that come with the job. Unfortunately, Jesus Contreras Benitez, a Mexican immigrant, learned this lesson in a horrific manner. On October 11, 2022, Benitez and his crew were dispatched for a day of work. His specific task involved loading tree branches and trunks into a wood chipper, a machine that can only be described as the mechanical equivalent of a giant kitchen blender, designed to turn wood into chips instead of blending fruit into smoothies. Benitez had operated this machine many times before, feeding it large pieces of wood to break down into smaller chips, all while trusting in its powerful, rotating blades. However, on this day, something went terribly wrong. In an instant, Benitez either lost his footing or got too close to the machine, and the unforgiving wood chipper pulled him in. Imagine being thrown into a machine with blades sharp and powerful enough to slice through thick tree trunks. An unimaginable nightmare. The aftermath was catastrophic. The scene quickly transformed into chaos, with blood gushing, flesh, crushed bones, and brain matter creating a horrific tableau. The exact details of how the accident occurred remain unclear, but such incidents can happen in the blink of an eye, like slipping on a wet floor, but with far more devastating consequences. So, friendly reminder, if you're enjoying the content and want to learn even more interesting things, be sure to subscribe to my channel, KzenaTopic. Join our community and stay updated on all the amazing topics we cover. Your support means a lot. Kaiser Carlile, a tragic accident on a baseball field. Accidents are an unfortunate part of life, but some are particularly heartbreaking. This was the case for 9-year-old Kaiser Carlile, whose life came to a sudden and tragic end during a summer baseball game in Wichita, Kansas in 2015. Kaiser was enjoying his day as a bat boy, diligently collecting stray bats and balls with the enthusiasm of a child in a candy store. Simple tasks that seemed harmless enough. However, what began as an innocent gig would soon turn into a nightmarish scene. On that hot afternoon, while working near the team's dugout, a player in the on-deck circle, a prime spot for preparing to bat, went to swing for the fences. Unfortunately, the bat swung towards Kaiser instead. Although all bat boys and girls are required to wear helmets for protection, the safety gear proved to be inadequate. The force of a baseball bat in full swing is approximately 10 times the impact of a hammer, but travels at a much faster speed. The blow was devastating, shattering Kaiser's helmet and causing severe trauma to his fragile skull. He was rushed to the hospital, but despite the best efforts of medical staff, he tragically passed away the following day. Kaiser Carlile's tragic accident serves as a harrowing reminder of the unexpected dangers that can lurk in even the most innocent of activities, leaving a profound impact on all who knew him.
Thanks for watching. I hope you like it. Next video will be coming soon. Bye!